Hello YouTube, Captain Machine here, back for another video. I've got my shillelagh. We're in the woods. My little wood elf is in the trees. Day's going great. So, I want to talk about travel in RPGs and how, in my opinion, there's two schools of thought on the topic. And some GMs fall into one or the other, not out of any thought, but because they haven't really thought. They have always done it that way and never thought that maybe there's pros and cons to it, shall we say. So, the first method is mechanically working the travel on a day-by-day, sometimes hour-by-hour basis. For example, I am currently running a Hellfrost game. Hellfrost is a pseudo-Vikings fantasy game using the Savage Worlds system. It's in dire need of a second edition, and I'll keep on harping on about that. And I'm currently running a campaign set in the winter, which is something you don't normally do in Rassilon because it's too cold to travel. And they're currently travelling north as well, which means that even despite the fact that spring's coming in the game world, it's not going to get any warmer for them because they are uncomfortably approaching towards the Hellfrost, which means it's never summer, never spring, always winter. Either way, in that world, in that game, the journey is as important as the destination. I will assess how much protection they've got against the cold. There is a mechanical system for working out how often you have to test to see if you are becoming fatigued by the cold. And a couple of really bad rolls, for example, can horrendously hinder a party and take them off track. So they have to find shelter, recover. Maybe they have to track their food, their fuel, stuff they're going to burn. Maybe they have to be on the lookout for steads or villages or towns or hamlets which might offer us aid in their more dying times. Maybe that place needs assistance, but that's where the adventure starts, really. Unless winter's particularly harsh. Gabriel, come down please. Are you too high up? Look how high he's got. Either way, you have to get yourself down and don't jump from there. It's too high. Yeah, so maybe there's too many mouths to feed and not enough food to go around, so they get thrown out. But in that world, in that setting, in that adventure, that story that I want to tell, the day-to-day minutiae of the travel makes sense. Maybe they encounter a particularly vicious storm, a horrendous blizzard, some unforeseen natural circumstance which has made the pass ahead of them untravelable and they have to find an alternative route. Maybe they find a small piece of detritus of the old world in the form of ruins and there's something lurking within them. Maybe it's an adventure, maybe it's a monster, maybe it's treasure. Who's to say? But in that world, in that game, in that context, the day-to-day minutiae of travel makes sense. That is what I'm going for. That is the aim and goal. However, I am also prepping a Pathfinder game because I'm a huge fan of 3rd edition and I think I'm going to go back to it because 5th edition is just not doing it for me. So, in that context, I believe that I will be narrating the travel quite heavily. So, in that world, in that universe, in that adventure campaign, whatever you want to call it, each session, each encounter will start with me telling them how they got somewhere. I'll basically give them a very short narration, probably less than a paragraph, that just tells them how far they travelled, where they went, what landmarks they encountered, the peoples that they bump into, and boom, the adventure starts. Much the same way that issues of a comic book or episodes of a TV show. It's very rare that those kind of things go into the minutiae of the day-to-day travel, unless that is the adventure. Maybe they're being stalked by something or someone. Maybe there's a band of bugbears or slavers after them. Maybe they're being hunted down by Templars of a church for a site that's desecrated. Who's to say? But in that scenario, these are skilled hunters. These are on them. They're in the middle of the wilderness. They're cut off from aid and society, and they have to not only evade their captors, but they also have to find their way out of whatever predicament they're in. Maybe they can turn the tables. Maybe they can counter ambush their pursuers. Look, he's still up there. He's still up there. Anyway, Gabriel, come on down. I think you've had enough now. Look at him go. My little wood elf, my little Padawan, my little apprentice. He's going to be a wizard like me one day. Right, yeah. So in that scenario, in that particular case, you default to the first example, where the minutiae of the hour by hour, day by day mechanical aspect of travel makes sense. But the second that adventure's over, you go back to narrating again. There's pros and cons to both, and I would highly suggest that any DM thinks about which one they'd rather do. Because I'll be honest with you, I have been through both with a variety of GMs, and in some cases they get it horrendously wrong in terms of which one they should be picking. When I'm being told that travelling across a particular part of the terrain is horrendously dangerous, something that not many people attempt and fewer people survive, and then I just get narrated, we've crossed over it and we're done, we ticked a box and we're done, then that's a lost opportunity. But at the same time, I've played through games where all the GM's doing is rolling random encounters every day, and I'm not a big fan of those anymore. A long time ago I got rid of random encounters in my game. I like to instead have prepared encounters. If they're in a dungeon complex, maybe I will include them occasionally, but not as a way of randomly just ambushing the players, but more precisely for punishing them for dawdling. If a group's being too loud, not being too careful, or lollygagging around in one particular place for too long, then yeah, there's a possibility that a wandering monster's going to encounter them. But I don't like it where the GM's making you roll 2, 3, 4 times a day, a percentage chance of bumping into a monster, a random encounter. Not a big fan. Don't like it. So in conclusion, when it comes to travel, there's 2 schools of thought as far as I'm concerned, and you need to weigh up the pros and cons of both and determine which one's best for you. As I already pointed out, there is no harm midway through the adventure, campaign, whatever, of switching from one to the other and back again, depending on the story you're trying to tell. Thanks for your time, guys. Me and Gabriel, once I pluck him out of this tree, I'm going to go find some more trees to climb. Bye bye.